Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press. Welcome to another interesting edition of our weekly press briefing here in the foyer of the Executive Mansion. Today is July 11, 2005, and we are very excited to be here this time and to update all of you, update our country on the happenings of His Excellency, the President's activities, his plans and actions he's undertaking for our dear country. This week has been quite busy, and however you're listening to us, wherever you're viewing, whether it's online and other platforms, we'd like to welcome you to this edition of our weekly press briefing. As we speak, it's been a busy week. The President started off the week with his visit to the United States of America that took place on Monday, and that visit have had or is currently having a lot of impact and in receipt of what the President traveled to the United States for. To speak, the President and the delegation are on the way back to Liberia, and it is on that basis that we are here having our press briefing at least ahead of time. We normally hold this press briefing at 2:30 or somewhere about there, but because of the return of the team, we will be heading to the Roberts International Airport shortly, and so we thought to update you all, and again, welcome to all of you. So the week, as I mentioned, has been quite busy. The engagement at the White House of our President and four other African heads of state visited His Excellency President Donald Trump at the U.S.-Africa Summit that was organized by the President. And prior to our President engagement, there were preparatory meetings held with senior advisor of the United States, and meetings were all in preparation of the meeting that happened at the engagement there. I'm in conversation with our team while they're in transit, that's why I'm a little distraction. So yes, so the meetings in the United States, His Excellency, our President, very excited. And as you all know, Nigeria is trending so far, the engagement at the White House. But prior to that, the President had been engaging before the team departed on Saturday. There was the reconciliation and healing program that was held. After that, the signing of the agreement between Liberia and HDX Ivanhoe, the company that is about to invest $1.8 billion into our economy, specifically in relations to the multi-user role. And this has been a long conversation, as you can all recall. The administration came into being, and we had interest was expressed by HDX to engage with Liberia and interest in our mining sector, specifically in the multi-user realm. So that agreement was signed. Upon the signing by the government of Liberia and the company, our President and team departed and arrived in the United States of America for the U.S.-Africa Summit. At the summit, the interest was basically on, again, our investments and the importance of this engagement for our government and our President is to reposition our country, specifically as he spoke about economic diplomacy, because he believed that Liberia right now currently needs to be repositioned and removing from this concept of aid for more of trade. Liberia and our president is calling for re-engaging our different partners, especially as the other countries, including the United States, have relooked at or looking at the diplomatic sector and how they want to engage with other countries. So particularly, the meeting talked a lot about our investment, our mineral deposits, and the need to have Liberia and the United States engage further in reviewing the level of or the quantity or the kind of minerals we have, talking about doing a detailed survey as to what we have and what are the new discoveries and what opportunities are there for investing, particularly in those sectors. And the meeting also talked about the employment possibilities, because as you know, investment in those areas will also include investments, of course, security. Following the meeting with which was an open meeting with the other heads of state, there was a structural bilateral where the president and the President Trump had engagement, and the president was able to further discuss other plans and other programs, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, our Minister of Foreign Affairs. And the President of the United States congratulates our president for the work that he's doing in Liberia and corruption, but also on Liberia's wing at the UN Security Council as a non-permanent member. And President Trump did express the appreciation and opportunity to work with Liberia in future endeavors. But this particular meeting was well received, and our president and delegation are currently on their way. But following that meeting, and as you know, the United States, and when you have the high level delegation meeting, you will also need to do follow-up engagement. So following the meeting with our president, we also had a meeting with the U.S. Deputy Secretary of State, Honorable Christopher Landor, and Honorable Landor. That meeting was also to be able to come up and cover some specific interests, and especially on investing in the small business community in terms of trade and showing that our produce, our items, or what we have on the Liberian market can be able to make its way to U.S. markets. That discussion also saw the appreciation of the Deputy Secretary for Liberia's own engagement and Liberia's own, particularly with the signing of the agreement with Liberia. And our president has appointed the biometric steering committee, specifically on our national ID, that is expected to be rolled out as soon as possible. As you know, there were some challenges as it relates to obtaining or getting the registration on board, and then the government later on recalled that mandate and asked the banking institutions to relax the implementation until further investigation is going to happen. Now, President did sign a directive appointing a committee to steer the affairs of that entire process, and those on the committee include Honorable Samuel Kofi Woods, the National Security Advisor, who's chairing the committee, the Minister of Internal Affairs, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Minister of Posts and Telecommunications, the Ministry of the Ministry of State for Presidential Affairs. These institutions are key in this sector, especially when it comes to identification issues. And national identification has security implications. That's why you have the National Security Advisor chairing the committee, Ministry of Internal Affairs, of course, when it comes to our internal matters, the foreign affairs, of course, our borders and foreign institutions,
or even people coming to Liberia, or people with interest in coming to Liberia. Post and telecoms, of course, for obvious reasons, telecommunications, and the rest of the institutions that are in charge of that area. Whilst still on this, the president should have attended the investment forum that was held in Philadelphia, the United States, on the same day of the meeting with President Trump. So he designated the advisor, specifically the ambassador at large, Ambassador Charles Snetter, to represent him at that forum to really express Liberia's interest. And more importantly, the trade office was open. And you know, the importance of all of this coming together with President Boakai meeting President Trump, with the discussions around trade and investment and opening the office in Philadelphia, really gives Liberia an opportunity to serve as a gateway to encourage and bring forth investors, people who are interested in investing in Liberia. But more than that, to really inform the world that we are ready for business and we're open for business, and that Liberia stands as a best and possible destination for investment. You know, our president normally says that, people say this other country is the gateway to Africa, but he says Liberia is the destination for Africa. So that as you pass through the gateway, you come to the destination as you're about to. So this forum was important in really highlighting where we are, where we stand, and how we're encouraging investors to come to Liberia and see Liberia as a vibrant economy, lots of untapped sectors, and really opening up to say, come to Liberia, come open, come work, come invest, come provide opportunities as you would love. So as the president drew down his visit, and he came back he really wanted to thank the United States ambassador, Liberia ambassador to the United States, Ambassador Al-Hassan Conte, for his hard work and the role he played in putting all of this together, including the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Madam Sarah Beslo-Yanti. And as the president brought down his visit, as they're on the way, there was also a meeting with the Liberian community. The president had a meeting with the Liberian community in the U.S., and chairpersons came and they talked more about their love and their interest in coming. Also, a separate meeting was held by the organization of North Carolina. The leadership came to engage the president and wanting to re-engage, because last year the president had planned to attend a forum there in North Carolina, but unfortunately due to the weather, the hurricane time there, it was unable to be organized. So the president is working with his team and their team to ensure that this happened sometime next year. And this year as well, there's going to be the diaspora conference coming up in sometime, hopefully in September. And the president is also looking forward to engaging again our colleagues, our partners, friends of Liberia, to really let them know that Liberia is open for business. The delegation, as I mentioned earlier, the delegation is currently on its way and is in transit. But while it's in transit, and you know, as I've said, President Boakai is a hard-working president. Every opportunity he has, every opportunity he gets to talk about Liberia, to encourage and engage for Liberia. So earlier this afternoon, he had a meeting with the Togolese president. They're currently in Togo, in Lomé. The Togolese president, His Excellency Jean-Lucien Servo de Tove. I hope I got that French name right. But main thing on the agenda was again collaboration and talking about what form of cooperation that Liberia can have, but more so, as we've said here in previous briefings about Liberia's interest in trade opportunities, in selling within, in transacting within the region, Liberia produce to come to the Togolese market or the West African market, so that we're able to see our items on shelves in our different neighboring countries. And they talk about trade cooperation and also the need for stronger security competition even within ECOWAS. And Togolese leader also offered to, because our president is transiting in his country, and we've talked about the transit conversation around the president's travel. So the Togolese leader did offer his flight or his aircraft to bring our president and his delegation here to Liberia. So the president wants to extend our thanks and appreciation to the president and government of Togo for their hospitality and for their kindness. It's been a wonderful week. It's been a very busy week as we prepare to head to the Rabat International Airport. We thought to give you this briefing so that should you have questions or issues that need clarification or wanting to contribute to whatever we talk about here, please feel free to call your name, your institution, and let's have a dialogue. Thank you very much and good afternoon, wherever you're listening. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes. You want to set you're blocking the cameras. Just call your name and institution.
Good afternoon, my friends. My name is Professor. For the news. The president spent almost a week in America and also met with President Donald Trump. Can you confirm if there was specific agreement of policy to kill the meeting? That's 1. 2. There is a plan progress for July 17th. Is there a plan for the president to meet with those planners of protest? Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Mark. I'm a country and I work for the Swiss Local Press. I'd like to know, there's a list of Africans to be deported from the US, and the 5 countries whom the US held talks with President Trump at the White House was sent a US proposal to accept deportees. I did not hear you talk about this, but I'm seeing it in other reports. Can you say something about it, please?
All right, Madam PPS, my name is Eugene Masale. I would like to know as to whether the flight that was offered or that was given President Walker as to whether he's going to pay for the transportation and taking him from Togo to Liberia. And just to buttress what my colleague just asked about the planned protest July 17. Some people are gearing up to get in the street, but we do not know the government side as to whether you care to comment on that. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Anthony Williams now, and I work for the Liberia Broadcasting System. Got 2 questions. But again, my colleagues have already asked you about the one involving Venezuelan refugees or deportees, because I want to know what mechanisms of support, financial, logistical, or diplomatic support that the US has promised in return, provided that Liberia is willing to accept this proposal. Also, I want to know the country will be celebrating against terrorism, and I want to know what Mr. President's plans hearing unconfirmed reports of the independence being scheduled to be celebrated in Europa. Can I independently verify that? I would appreciate you able to help me get some details regarding the independence celebration.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will respond to the first batch of questions. On the question as to whether a partnership was killed following the meeting, so the meeting happened prior to even going. The signing of the $1.8 billion investment with a U.S. company is one of those that's been in the pipeline. And following that meeting, there has been a lot of conversation and discussions happening as to specific what's going to happen. But you know, when these meetings happen, there are preparation behind the scenes, there are dialogues behind the scenes. So once the full briefing is concluded, we will be able to update you as to where we are and what step the country is taking, particularly our president. On the issue of the July 17 protest, the president's view are clear. Liberia is a democratic country. People are allowed to protest. So long you follow the guidelines and rules governing, assembly. You have the right to assemble, and you have to receive permit and all of that. But we've seen and we've heard other actors who have seen the intent of the protest that is more of a political process than a genuine protest. However, the law enforcement agencies, the police, the Ministry of Justice, and all parties involved of that, they are, and even the security, because the government has the right and authority and authorization to protect the citizens. So the relevant authority and agencies are looking at that and studying what needs to happen and what support, if any, if necessary, be giving what protection. As to, because there's a question whether the president is going to meet with the protesters or people who want to protest. Well, I'm not sure they have asked to meet the president. I have not had or I've not received any information that they requested a meeting with the president. However, should the president deem it necessary and if they want to meet the president to express, their concerns or if it's petition or whatever it is, the president is always open to meeting citizens across the country, regardless of who you are, where you are, what views you hold, whether or not you agree with him. So the president is open to meeting with all citizens.
We've spoken about this. The United States have not officially asked Liberia as to whether or not Liberia will be one of the countries to be designated. Immigration, of course, the illegal immigration has been an issue for the United States for quite a long time, and as all of us may be aware, that Liberia is one of the high-rate countries that have more illegal immigrants and people overstay visa, and the U.S. ambassador has said this a number of times. But the conversation have not reached to its finality to request formally Liberia to be a host, and the president was clear when the request is made, the team will study and see what's best for the country and make the decision. But right now, that has not been placed on the table for Liberia. As to the flight that is being offered, whether he's going to pay for it, no, let me just be clear, it's not something that is going to be paid for. He was in the country, he's in Togo, along with his delegation, and the president of the country came and met with him. They had discussions, and right now, as we speak, it's like an offer. You go and you get to your friend says, "Oh, okay, I'll let my people drive you home. You get a taxi, or let me put you. Or let my people take you in my car and take you home." Basically, it's that. So no, it's not going to be paid for. I'm sure I've answered the question in relation to the refugee or the deportees, quote unquote, of Venezuela in the same aspect. As to the venue of the Independence Day, there is a committee for the Independence Day program. And there are a number of different conversations that are happening, a number of different suggestions. Until the team is until the team finalizes as to what specifically will be happening, including the orator, because I do know that the president have highlighted or have in mind an orator, the venue, the theme of the Independence Day. We will communicate that to you all shortly, but those are all active conversations happening at the moment, and we'll keep you posted as when we have final update on those. We'll take any final batch or follow-up.
Yes, before my colleague gets his follow, Anthony Williams here again. More pundits are concerned about President Trump's response to His Excellency President Buhari's statement at the dinner just the other day. Of course, he made it clear that he was amazed about President Buhari's good English speaking skills. But more or most pundits consider this as being humiliating. As a presidential press secretary, what do you make of these thoughts, ma'am?
Okay, Mark McGregor, and a follow-up to my previous question with the confirmation that there are talks around deportation, and the president has not given a yes or no to it. Are there possibility that Liberia could be one of the hosts? Yeah.
Yes, I'm Jules from the Nigerian Reverend Habib newspaper. Yeah, on PBS, a big mention of permit for the protesters. According to Article 15 and 17, no permit is mentioned. Where does permit usually come from for protesters?
Okay, thank you very much. As to the question of whether that was humiliating President Trump's response, the president and the administration did not see this as any form of humiliation. I think it was a commendation and compliment to our president. And as a government, the government sees it very happy about that. And that the president, amongst all of the leaders, the fact that our president can be seen or spoken to at that level, but more so there were 5 other leaders who were there. Amongst the 5 leaders, President Trump remembers our president, and even as we speak, because of that engagement, you have Liberia now, it's been researched, it's been spoken about. People want to know what Liberia is, what we do, who we are, and all of that. So for us, we believe that it was a great moment. And even as we speak, you go online, on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, all these social media platforms, Liberia is trending. And what do we make of this? This is good for our image. This is good for the government. This is good for our tourism sector. This is where we in the PR and communication are now really discussing and having conversation what we do with this moment. Had that conversation or that compliment had happened, I'm not sure the reaction would be as it is now. But more than that, as a government, our interest is not just to talk about how beautifully we speak English. Of course, we do have local languages or local vernaculars or dialects, but to really see how we can push this forward. But more than that, the substantive conversation that is investment, job creation, trade, having Liberia produce in the U.S. market is showing that we are not part of the countries that will be given higher tariff on goods and services. So yeah, it is a good moment, and it was a good opportunity for Liberia to shine for a positive reason, and that is how we speak the Liberian English, or the standard English, if you will. As to the possibility of Liberia being a host, as I said, Liberia, the conversation has not been consummated yet. I wouldn't preempt what will happen, but of course what I can say, what I can tell the Liberian people is that what will happen, whenever that immigration issue comes to our president, the conversation will be had, the team will discuss, the pros and cons will be looked at, and whatever outcome will be in the best interest of our country. And I'll leave it at that. Let's not, push the put the cart before the horse. As the issue of permit, unfortunately, I'm not sure if you follow my entire comments. I said, and I will repeat here, that the team responsible for law and order, that is the Ministry of Justice, the Liberia National Police, and all other apparatuses, whether it's people involved in security, they're currently studying the matter, and they will provide the best information or best process going forward. But as we speak, our president has never been against people expressing their disagreement with him, with his government, with his administration. Of course, we welcome dissent and we welcome opposite views and opinions of his government, but this will not take away from the forward march of the country, the investment opportunities that the president is looking forward for, the support that he's trying to galvanize across the world, the support he's getting. Today I actually read that World Bank has even showed the progress the country is making. And, a number of different things happening as we speak. Road network is happening across the country. Education, the numbers are improving in our healthcare delivery system. Things are going up. Yes, commodity prices may be fluctuating, but they have not gone extremely, high. The conversation around is showing that our rate is stabilized. And all of these positive things are happening in the country. I mean, people have rights to disagree, however they want, but our goal as a government, the president's interest and intent is to really be focused, not be distracted, work for the Liberian people, and that's why even this meeting with the United States president, this is unprecedented, especially this is like less than 2 years in office, and he's amongst the first 5 very small group of select African leaders who had the opportunity to sit with him to talk about these investments. He's going to be traveling to other countries and other leaders, so the president is focused, and he's not going to get distracted, and want to encourage all Liberians and all of you following that we all must really see what our government and president is doing and push forward for a peaceful and strong, galvanized country that we all will work in the interest of our country. Thank you very much and have a good afternoon.
And so that was the voice of the Presidential Press Secretary, Madam Kula Fofana, speaking to Executive Mansion assigned reporters there at the Executive Mansion. We are on our way to the airport now to receive His Excellency. So do join us as we make our way to the airport right now. Thank you and have a good